operator. When you have the op and you're playing Jet, and you have your dash up especially, you can go for these ballsy peaks that like people don't expect you to do. You combine Jet with an op and she is a nasty hero, and it's definitely a lot of instinct that goes into it. It's a lot of fast thinking, like a lot of reactionary thinking. You know, you can get into these sticky situations and get out. Peeking into a molly and just dashing away, going for like just aggro picks on riflers all the time. Even oppers, because if they miss their shot and you take your shot, you can just dash away instantly.
Smokes and walls are an essential tool for oppers, especially on defense. They can be used in a number of different ways, like denying vision from your enemies or potentially faking your location. When holding angles like ascent A main, try to cover the site entry with a smoke. This allows you to safely hold the angle from A heaven without being spotted by the opponents until they emerge from the smoke. At which point, there's nowhere for them to take cover. Here's a couple more locations to try.
Going up. Launching smoke.
You can also use your smokes as a bait. Take a look at how CNED uses them here to bait the enemy. As soon as he gets the first pick, the enemy team knows he's got an operator this round. At this point, most AWPers would smoke off and try and retreat to a safer vantage point, but CNED's built a little different. This is where he goes for the bait. He walks into the smoke instead of away from it and is able to catch 3 more players from Rix off guard by toying with their expectations. Now let's recap everything we've learned so you'll be ready to op like a pro in your next ranked game. As Jet, use her tailwind to dash behind cover after taking your shot. Use her updraft to reach unique vantage points and sightlines. As any agent with a smoke or possible wall, cover key site entrances to hold risky angles more safely. Or use the smokes to fake your location and catch enemies off guard. Try incorporating these pro op strats into your play and see how your rank improves. Thank you for tuning into Decoded. Be sure to tune into the VCT to learn more pro strats to bring into your rank games. No excuses now. And again, for all that information you may need, the matches that are upcoming or maybe the schedule, head on over to ValorantEsports.com. Nice and easy. And again, we'll be seeing you next time for more tips and tricks direct from those VCT pros.
Hello， 大家好，这里是 VALORANT 电竞新节目《如何看懂 VALORANT》来了。节目主要内容是帮助大家看懂国内外比赛中职业选手的某些操作，以及赛事的解析、小技巧等等，保证大家能学到很多技术。废话不多说，我们开始吧。这一期内容是在 VCT2 北美赛区中100T 对阵 N-Box。100T Steel 在 Ascent 地图上开局之后，利用纳米炸弹逼退敌方，然后在 B 厅墙角使用大招全面封锁。这个大招超过了我们对 Killjoy 的认知。Steel 开局这么用，到底有什么原因呢？第一，逼迫进攻方的走位，控制大片区域。当大招释放后，通过地图可以直观的看到，进攻方被逼退到2片绿色安全区域。图中标红的区域本应该是进攻方控制的，现在已经变为防守方的控制区域。Killjoy 的大招可以帮助防守方夺取大片区域，获取很多架枪的位置。第二，消耗进攻方的技能。进攻方如果要重新控制红色区域，必须使用技能来抢占，否则可能会被防守方偷掉1-2个人，陷入人数劣势。进攻方通常会使用 SOA 的侦察舰和夜宵无人机，以及闪光技能进行抢点。一些技能使用过后是不可再生的，所以消耗进攻方的技能也会大大增加对战的胜率。第三，通过配合前压 B 区或者反清中路拿到人数优势。开启大招后，防守方还能和队友做配合。100T 就是配合菲尼克斯的大招进行前顶，虽然没有打掉人，但能给进攻方非常大的压力，这也是很好的一种配合思路。最后，我们的视角回到中路。 当 Killjoy 的大招完结的时候，可以看到 Sage 站的位置，大概在中路楼梯附近。100T Ethan 抓住机会横拉出 A 小道，想打掉 Sage。虽然枪法有点失误，不过抓的机会是刚刚好的。做得更好一点，可以利用闪光做配合反清中路，击杀进攻方，拿到人数优势。通过视频我们可以看到 Killjoy 的封锁大招有3个效果：1. 逼迫进攻方的走位，控制大片区域；2. 消耗进攻方的技能；3. 防守方可以前压 B 区和反清中路，拿到人数优势。当然，这个战术也有弊端。战术开局是直接放弃了 A 区的防守，仅仅用技能做侦查。如果进攻方开局想 rush A 点，对于防守方来说，回防的难度可能会比较大。这个套路可以用来打一些非常规、枪械劣势的情况下，选择主动出击，可能会取得非常好的效果。大家可以去和小伙伴们做配合，非常的不错。最后，大家可以关注我们的 B 站、微博、视频号、公众号 VALORANT 电竞，快来跟我们一起领略 VALORANT 赛事的魅力。
Welcome to Decoded, where we break down all the best strats and plays from the VALORANT Champions Tour to help you dominate your ranked games. Today we're looking at how to execute a perfect site hold, with examples from VALORANT Masters EU winners Ascend, and of course the superstar CNED. In the last map of the Grand Finals, Ascend were in the lead, but Heretics were starting to mount a comeback, and Ascend desperately needed to shut that down. Also note, this was a save round for Ascend, which means they didn't have enough credits to buy rifles or the powerful weapons they could be desiring. So it's gonna need some magic to make this happen, but luckily for Ascend, they've got CNED. As we break down this play, we're gonna be learning some key strats for you to be bringing into your games. So for example, how to effectively hold angles on a site, team fight coordination, individual positioning, and resource management. With all that said, let's dive right in. The play begins when Ascend gets the spike planted on Ascent A site. Ascend start their hold by dumping utility onto the door between A site and tree in an attempt to lock Heretics out from entering the site there. This limits the angles Ascend needs to watch just down to 2, A main and A heaven. A main is covered by Cold Dementor, with assistance from CNED and killers from Hell, who are also listening out for footsteps on Heaven. Starkso holds from the back corner of the site to cover tree in case Heretics decides to push through the utility. Make note of their positions here. You may want to try holding these similar angles yourself when defending Ascent A site. Now that Ascend have the site locked down, let's take a look at what Heretics are up to. As soon as the spike gets planted, the members of Heretics on B side begin to rotate over towards A. Bone Cold from Ascend lurks in mid, hoping to catch them on their way over towards the spike. Cold Mentor pushes through A main, hoping to do the same. Unfortunately for them, Heretics have already grouped up by the site at this point, putting them in a 5v3 against Ascend players still on site. Lau and Avova from Heretics kick things off by entering through A door and picking off Starkso. Killers hears those footsteps in Heaven and swings out for the fight, but Pora is already ready and waiting. Pora gets the kill, and now Ascend are down 2 in just a matter of seconds. Bone Cold attempts to flank the players at A door from mid, but he isn't able to get the kills. Luckily, CNED lands his shot from Hell and takes out Lau. Bone Cold now has vision on both Avova and Pora on site. He sends out a massive paranoia that blinds both of them, setting up CNED for 2 easier kills. This was an essential play by Bone Cold, and it's a great example of how you can creatively use your abilities to support your teammates when you're out of range for a gunfight. After his kill on Pora, CNED hears more footsteps in Heaven and knows they're about to drop down. He dashes to the opposite side of Hell in hopes of catching them off guard. During this, Rubino catches Bone Cold, who revealed his location with the paranoia. The fight is now down to an even 2v2, but it won't stay that way for long. Rubino also finds a kill on Cold Mentor while still on Heaven, leaving CNED the last man standing. At the same time, Nuki drops down for the kill, but it's CNED who once again comes out on top. With only one kill away from the ace, CNED finds himself in a tricky position. The clip in his Vandal is empty, and his only ability is Updraft, which won't do him much good in hell. CNED could reload here, but doing so would risk leaving him open and vulnerable to Rubino, whom he knows is just above and ready to strike. CNED instead opts to bet it all on his classic. A great choice considering Rubino decides to drop down immediately. And that reload would have cost him the round. His strong resource awareness saved him from what could have been a disaster. A great reminder to always keep an eye out on your ammo. But don't take it from me. Let's toss it over to CNED to hear what was going through his head during the play. His pick towards low, on towards the side, they see it, but CNED, that's one, that's two, the third falls into play!
O an kafamdan neler geçiyordu gerçekten hatırlamıyorum çünkü öyle bir baskı altında comeback yiyoruz ve bir şey düşünmek gerçekten zor. Sadece takım arkadaşlarımız dörtlediği için, arkadan geldikleri için onlara zaman kazandırmamız lazımdı. En güvenli yer olan Under Heaven'a yerleştim ve orada güvenli bir pozisyonda kalmaya çalıştım onlar gelene kadar. Ondan sonra ilk Sage'i öldürdükten sonra saklandım. Saklanmaya devam ettim. Sonra bonk oldum, flash'i geldi ve oyuncular flash'tan kaçmaya çalışırken benim önüme düştüler. Ondan sonra Reyna Heaven'dan atladı. Reyna'yı öldürdükten sonra mermim bitti. Saklandım ve Klasi'ye geçtim. Çünkü Klasi'nin sağ tıkı yakın mesafeden biraz bozuk açıkçası.
Thanks, CNED. Now let's see how it all shook out. The fight that ensues isn't pretty. Both players miss their first shots, which presumably leaves Rubino with an empty clip on his Vandal. He takes lightning fast cover to switch to his pistol, but now he's the one at the disadvantage. Both players are on their classics, but CNED has just a tiny bit more health. This allows him to tank a hit while he lands two perfectly placed jumping right clicks on Rubino, securing the ace and the round. Now that we've broken down the play, let's take a moment to recap what we've learned. If you can't cover all angles of a site, try stack some abilities on one of them to dissuade the enemies from approaching from that side. If you're out of range to help support your teammates in a gunfight, try getting creative with your abilities to set them up for success. Patience and confidence are key in a teamfight. Trust your gut on your positionings and don't take unnecessary peeks or risks. Always be mindful of your resources. A poorly timed reload could be life or death for you in a clutch situation. Try bringing these pro strats into your next ranked match and see how your game improves. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Decoded. Be sure to tune into the VCT to learn more pro strats to bring into your ranked games. Now, if you don't know when those matches are going down or when the schedule is, I've got you, don't worry. Head over to ValorantEsports.com. It's got everything you'd need on there. And hopefully, with all that said, we'll see you next time for more tips and tricks direct from the VCT pros. Welcome to Decoded, where we break down all the best strats and plays from the Valorant Champions Tour to help you in your ranked games. Today we're looking at Molotovs and all the different ways you can control the map as an attacker or a defender utilizing them. So, what is a Molotov? Great question. A molly is the ability that creates a temporary area of hazard on the ground. This includes Brimstone's Incendiary, Phoenix's Hot Hands, Viper's Snakebite, or Killjoy's Nano Swarm. Most mollies cause damage to any player that stands inside of the area of effect, but there are some exceptions. For example, Sage's Slow Orb acts like a molly, but instead of dealing damage, it causes a movement speed reduction. Today, we'll mostly be focusing on the standard damage dealing mollies, but some of these tips could be applied to other molly-like abilities as well. With all that said, let's dive in some examples from the VCT pros. The most obvious use for a molly is blocking off an enemy's pathway. If you know that your opponents are around a corner or trying to push a certain angle, try tossing out a molly to temporarily block their path. This could force a rotation or stall their approach long enough for you to get to a more favorable position on the map. Take a look at how Asuna uses his molly here. He throws one out into Ascent B main after he sees the enemy Omen send a Paranoia through the wall, signaling a potential rush through this angle. Then after the fight, he throws another around the corner to briefly stall the push again, affording him just enough time to reload his low ammo. Asuna made creative use of his hot hands twice in a fight to slow the tempo of Envy's aggressive rush, giving him the time and the space he needed to get his picks. Let's toss it over to the man himself, Asuna. Get to explaining some of your favorite ways to use those mollies.
We threw hot hands out immediately at the start of the round in order to get our Omen across so that we could have a flash and smoke, and so that he could be inserted in B main and he could be in a good spot. We also knew that most teams rush B in ranked and pro play, so we wanted to stall that down in case they did do that. However, since they went really quickly, we ended up in this scenario where they ran through our molly, 2 of them, and the other 2 were separated away due to the molly that I threw in the start. So since we heard the 2 steps, I threw a Phoenix Flash, we got 2 kills, and since the Phoenix Molly recharges, I was able to get another molly and throw it again in order to give me some room to work with, and so that I could push up and